Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Monday Night Live with me, Tanja from Tanja Kraus Horsemanship. I am talking tonight about having success at Liberty with our horses. So, over the weekend, we had a really great Liberty clinic in Bellingen, and I'm coming to you tonight from Bangalore. I've come up here, I've got a 2-day clinic up in Bangalore, so I'm very grateful for Paula and David for letting me use their house and their office to bring you this Monday Night Live. And I hope the new time slot is a little bit better for everyone. I hope that everyone's using the extra daylight that we have here in New South Wales to spend some time with their horses. I've got to apologise for my voice. I'm losing it very, very quickly because I've been teaching all day today, and I was teaching all weekend, so my voice is definitely not the best, but hopefully it'll hold out at least until the end of this video. So I'll just give it a couple of minutes for everyone to join. I'm seeing everyone. Eric's commenting, am I late? No, you're not late. Actually, I was probably about a minute late, so not at all. You're not late. I'll just wait for everyone to let me know that you're here by clicking the like button or commenting or whatever, and we'll soon get started. So, as I said, big hello to everyone who was at the Liberty Clinic in Bellingen over the weekend. It was a pretty amazing clinic, and every time we teach it, the horses teach us so many things. I was saying to the people, hey Hannah, I hope you're doing well. Good to hear from you. I was saying to everyone over the weekend that, I've taught the Liberty Clinic now, and I've done Liberty with every single horse that comes to me. I do Liberty with. It's one of my first things that I do. Hey, Hillary. Steve and Oscar just had a great time over the weekend. I'm sure you've heard all about it and you've seen the comments on Facebook and whatever, but it was really cool to work with them again and help just get that get that next level stuff happening. So that's really cool. Over the weekend I was saying to everyone how it's I've taught this clinic probably 10 or 11 or 12 times, I don't know now, and each time we've had 10 to 15 horses at the course, and it's always different. Every single Liberty clinic that we do, every horse is presenting us with different things, and hi Natalie, hey Fee, every single horse is presenting different things, and I think it's really important for us to realize that they do have individual personalities, and we are working with a living being. So often when it comes to Liberty, a lot of us might have specific ideas in our head about what Liberty means to us, and it means that I can get my horse to run next to me, or it means I can get my horse to circle, or it means I can get my horse to rear up, or it means I can get my horse to, I can ride it bridleless, or whatever it is to us. And often that ideology or the image that we have in our head, hey Steve, welcome, often the image that we have in our head is not one that's so very inclusive of the horse, or one that maybe takes into consideration the horse. So I guess what I want to share with you tonight is some do's and don'ts, and those do's and don'ts and pointers, or whatever you want to call them, are coming to you from a perspective of what I consider Liberty to be, and the way that I'm teaching it, and the way that I'm sharing my philosophy about Liberty. So the first thing that I want to share with you is that Liberty to me, and obviously the definition of Liberty in the dictionary, is freedom. And we're seeing a lot of maybe shows or things like that where we see all this really cool stuff happening with these horses, but the horses aren't necessarily doing the things that they're doing because they want to. They're doing the things that they're doing because they've been trained to do it. So to me, that's not Liberty, but I can expand on that, I guess, because I do have training phases in my Liberty philosophy, or my program, or whatever it is that you want to call it. I'm not saying that I just walk out there and do what the horse wants to do or whatever, but I am saying that there's different levels, I guess, to Liberty, and there's a pathway for Liberty. So the first thing that we need to understand that is required in liberty and required in any relationship really is respect or trust. And that goes both ways. So I want my horse to respect me, of course, and we spend a lot of time talking about getting respect from the horse and making sure the horse respects us and all the rest of it. But what I want to remember is that it's my job to respect the horse as well. You know, he's a living, thinking, feeling being. And I want to make sure that I'm respectful of that, and that if I'm going to try and make a connection with him, that I'm respectful of the horse as a being, which is something that I don't think we consider or think about that often, because of the way that we're brought up or conditioned, or, you know I came up through a very traditional kind of a educational way with horses, and we weren't considering the horses a whole lot in regards to the training processes and what we were doing and things like that. You know, the horse was there for our entertainment, and the horse was there for me to ride, and the horse was there for me to go to the beach and all the rest of it. So hi Beck, hi Angie, yes, you're on time. Yeah, we're just getting started. So it's 7 o'clock in Queensland, 8 o'clock in New South Wales. So what I want to talk to you about tonight is, you know, that liberty is freedom. So you've got to take into consideration the horse's state of mind, the horse's confidence level, what he is, whether he's worried or anything like that. We need to take into consideration as we start liberty. And as I said, every horse that came to me, I did liberty with from day one, because I really feel that liberty is a way that I can communicate with the horse and connect with the horse where he feels the most confident. I don't have any ropes on him. I don't have a halter on him. Yes, I might have him in a round yard or a small yard or an arena. You know, I've taught this course a few times. I prefer a square or a rectangular yard, actually, that is a reasonable size, because then the horse can move around at will. A round yard tends to sort of keep him going around in a circle. But if you're aware of that, then it's not necessarily going to be what happens in liberty. So understanding that the horse has got thoughts and processes when it comes to liberty as well is probably the number one thing that I want to take into consideration when I'm out there and when I'm having a conversation with him. I consider having a conversation with a horse similar to having a conversation with a human being. And if I have a conversation with a human being and it goes in a direction that makes that human being uncomfortable or lack confidence or worried, then I want to either, I don't necessarily want to change the conversation, but I certainly want to have empathy with that person, and I want to understand why it's making them uncomfortable and maybe help them be a little less uncomfortable with it. So with people, depending on who it is that you're talking to, you might not necessarily go deeper with a human being and say, oh, I can see that this topic's made you worried or made you concerned. Let's talk about that and let me try and help you with it, because, I'm not a therapist, and maybe I'm talking to my neighbor who doesn't necessarily want to share particular things with me. So with a human, there's a boundary there. But if a horse shows me that he's anxious or worried or whatever about something that I'm doing, then absolutely, before I progress in my questions to him or in our relationship, I need to find out, why is that bothering you? Why are you worried about my actions now? Why are you worried about this conversation? Because if I don't, then that conversation could rear its head while I'm riding the horse, and then he's going to be worried and potentially have some negative actions that I don't want to necessarily deal with while I'm under saddle. So, to me, liberty is opening a dialogue with the horse where the horse can truly say to me, I'm worried about this, and he does that through his actions. He's either going to, maybe kick out at me, or he's going to run away from me, or he's going to leave, or he's not going to want to be with me, or he's not going to want to connect with me or anything like that. So, hey, Michelle. Michelle's saying hello, and now she's saying it's not working for her. So please let me know if it's not working for you. I've got a few people online and no one said that yet, Michelle. So hopefully for me, it's your connection, because otherwise I'm coming to you from a bad connection, but I don't seem to be having any troubles yet. So then the first thing, or the next thing that I want to take into consideration is the differences between horses, not necessarily breeds, but ages, and whether they're male or female, geldings, stallions, fillies, mares. Breeds can come into it. We had a couple of Brumbies at the clinic over the weekend, and I'm not going to delve too far into that because I can go on a whole different direction when it comes to Brumbies. But Brumbies that have been captured from a wild situation, and a Brumby that has lived in a wild situation has a completely different makeup and a completely different set of reactions to human beings than a domesticated horse would have. Typically, a domesticated horse has had exposure to humans since they were very young. They probably haven't had too many, they can have had negative experience with human beings, but maybe not as negative as perhaps a Brumby who has actually been trapped and then driven onto a truck and then transported somewhere that they don't know, and all these kind of things. So a Brumby has been removed from its home, whereas a domestic horse has been born into a situation, and so there is differences there in regards to breeds. When it comes to stallions versus geldings and fillies versus mares, what we need to take into consideration is that a stallion or a dominant horse is going to be looking for, perhaps especially a younger horses in general are going to be looking for submissive gestures on the handler or the person doing the liberty. So I'm going to call it the owner for to make it simple, even though it might not be the owner that's working with the horse. But the owner, they're going to be looking for submissive gestures. So whilst I might build confidence in a horse that is worried or insecure by walking backwards and drawing it at liberty, I wouldn't necessarily do that with a stallion, because a stallion is going to take that as a submissive gesture and potentially sort of, run at me or charge at me or something like that. Hey babe, thanks for joining. I tried to call you earlier. I know you've tried to call me. We're playing phone tag at the moment. Phil's up in Queensland, so hello to anyone up in Queensland that's up at the Cowboy Dressage at Esk at the moment. That's where Phil is. So I hope he's having a great time, and I wish him all the best of luck for the weekend, for the championships. And anyone else who's competing, I wish you all the best. So a stallion is going to be looking for submissive gestures and things like that. A young horse is going to be looking for submissive gestures and potentially going to be sort of looking to dominate you and looking to take advantage perhaps of that situation. So Steve's saying Lucy's horse was very playful, and she was, that was one of the horses that were there on the weekend, and Piper, the mare's name is, she was very playful, and for a mare that can be very unusual because often mares are not very playful. My horse Boogie can be very playful at times, and sometimes she doesn't want to play, and I've got other mares in the paddock that aren't as playful. So Squizzy doesn't necessarily want to play. She's quite good at liberty and she takes well. She does like the training side of liberty, because I don't have any ropes or anything on her, so she feels like she's got a little bit more control. She still works with me and does all the stuff that I want, but she knows that she can sort of leave at any time, so that gives her a little bit more confidence in that way. Whereas Boogie will come in and try and play and things like that. So mares typically don't like to play a lot, so those of you that are with mares and that you're trying to get them to play, don't take it personally if they don't want to play, because they're not generally, instinctually, they don't play very much. Whereas colts, obviously, young colts and even age geldings. I mean, if Phil and I put Cooper and George in the paddock together, they go to town and start playing and playing and playing, and they're 10 and 11 or 10 and 13 years old now. So boys typically have a higher play drive than girls as a generalistic statement, but you can get girls that will play as well. Stallions, on the other hand, are another kettle of fish altogether, because you don't want a stallion thinking that you're offering submissive gestures, although stallions do find liberty very stimulating and they do enjoy play. So I'm not saying don't do it with your stallion. When Cooper was a stallion, I did a lot of liberty with him, but you have to find a really good balance between play and training and developing respect and maintaining respect and leadership and all those kind of things. So liberty isn't just about going out there and doing the same thing over and over and over again, and it's not about just trying to apply a specific set of skills to every single horse, because it's not necessarily going to happen that way. You need to read every individual horse and find out what they're wanting to do on that particular day. So that brings me to my next point, which is don't have an agenda. So sometimes, and when I say don't, I mean be flexible in your agenda, because sometimes I'll head out into the paddock and I'll think, I'll have a little bit of a play at Liberty. And I did this just on Friday before I went down to Bellingen for the Liberty Clinic. I didn't get to take my horses down there, and I decided to have a play I had Cooper and Squizzy in the arena with me. Now, normally Cooper's very interested in Liberty and Squizzy's not that interested in Liberty. And I started to do some work with Cooper. So I asked him to, come in, and I was doing some hindquarter yields and forequarter yields, and I sent him out on a circle, and he was a little flat. He wasn't into it. He was just like, I can take it or leave it. Squizzy, on the other hand, there, I'm just getting a message. Oh, so Michelle's saying that she's having to watch the replay, and then Fee's saying it is to hear, and I actually just got a message saying that my signal was quite low and it had been paused. So I'm going to keep going because it's popped back up again, and now I'm getting messages again. So I'm hoping for you guys that it's paused and then it's re-picked up. So I do apologise if there's an issue with it. Like I said, I'm in Bangalore, so the wireless was pretty good when I linked into it, but there was thunderstorms all around for most of today. So maybe there's a thunderstorm around and it's sort of overtaking, the signal or something like that. I had an agenda of working with Cooper, and I had an agenda of working with him, go out on a circle and disengaging and this and that. So Tracy's saying it's cutting on and off. So I'm really sorry about that. And if I'll watch the replay, and if the replay ends up being all scattered, then I will redo the whole thing. But I'm going to keep on pushing through now, because hopefully it'll just settle itself. And I'll just redo it, and I'll put it on YouTube, and then I'll link it into the Facebook account. So I do apologise for if it's not working so well. So don't have an agenda, or be flexible in the agenda. It's about the two of you, not just you. So that brings me to that. And that's exactly what I did on Friday. Cooper was a little like, I'm a little flat, I'm not interested. Squizzy said, pick me, pick me, pick me. So I picked her. I did the work with her. I did a couple of things with Cooper. And then Cooper ended up coming over and just wanting to hang out. He just, I was patting him, and he was sort of, we just hung out for a little bit. And sometimes Cooper comes up to me, or, like the next day, he'll come up to me and he'll be like, yep, I'm into it. I want to do this and I want to do that. So being aware that it is about the two of you, and it's not just about going out there and making the horse do what your agenda is. And sometimes they're not into it. Sometimes they might be a little flatter or whatever. So, just taking into consideration that there's two personalities out there. There's two beings out there. And Liberty's a lot more fun when both of you are into it. And horses will be into it, but it's different times of the day or different, expectations or whatever. And you get really good Liberty sessions when you tap into that reading your horse and understanding what he's interested in. Do consider the horse when it comes to Liberty. Being patient. Over the weekend, we spent a lot of time waiting for horses, And when you start to tap into the little subtle body language that horses can give you while they're at liberty, it becomes very, very evident how important it is to wait. And, like I say, I've done this course a few times now. We had a horse a couple of weekends ago that we waited probably a good hour for. And I know that there's people sitting there going, oh my God, I would never wait an hour for a horse. And we had one over the weekend that we waited probably about an hour and a half for. We had another one that we waited maybe about 40 minutes for. But the result of that waiting is such an amazing, committed, profound moment that it is worth the wait. So be patient and be ready to wait for that horse to process and think and respond to what it is that you're asking him to do, because liberty is a conversation. It's not, to me, it's not about training. You know, if you want to go out there and train your horse at liberty and get him to, do this and this, all the ducks in a row, then, that's fine if that's what you're into. I would rather have a conversation with my horse, because I know that there's days where my horse says to me, yep, I am on board, I want to do this. Which is exactly what Squizzy did to me the other day. She was literally walking in front of Cooper and going, don't work with him, work with me. And he was saying, I'm not interested today. So I went, okay, cool. I'll work with this horse. So being patient and waiting and reading those subtle signs and reading that body language. Hey, Rinny, or Shalise, whoever it is watching on your mum's account. That brings me to be prepared to adjust and read. There's different kinds of liberty: play, training, hanging out, having a conversation with the horse. So if you go out there and you decide that today's a play day and your horse is, you start running around or trying to get the horse to play, and the horse is like, no, I'm not into it, I'm not playful today. It's kind of like trying to make a person play with you that doesn't want to play. They're going to be out there, throwing you the ball or playing a game with you that they're completely disinterested in, and they're not going to be having any fun, but they're going to do it maybe out of a sense of obligation to you. So does that make you feel good to have a game with someone who isn't interested in playing the game? It's not as fun, because they're, they might be moving the piece or whatever, but they're not into it. They're not having a good time. So if you go out there and your focus is play, but the horse is a little bit sort of disinterested in play, not as, it happened over the weekend actually with Steve and Oscar. So Steve and Oscar came out on their first session, and Oscar was off the charts playful. He was tossing his head and he was, stomping his feet in a good way. Those of you that weren't there, I don't need a million messages saying, oh, you shouldn't be allowing negative behavior. It was completely under control. But the first session of Steve and Oscar was like, I'm playful, I'm ready. He was rearing up and he was doing all sorts of fun stuff and running around, and he was like, oh, I want to play. And then the second session, he was like, he was hooked on, like he wanted to be there. He was interested in what Steve had to say, but he was very much wanting a more refined training session. So the first session, Steve got to play with him, and the second session, Steve got to work with the horse and refine their liberty skills and training and technique. So they really got the best out of both worlds across both sessions. And those sessions were so successful because we read the horse, and we said the horse is playful now, the horse is wanting to do this now. And we ran with that. The horse doesn't always get to make the decision, of course, but when the horse is being playful, or, maybe the horse is sort of got a little bit more energy, is the time to work on some circling work or something. When the horse is a little flatter, it's time to work on some maybe yielding or some sideways or some lateral work or something like that. If you read the energy, you're going to have a much more successful session, because you're responding to what the horse is presenting. Hi, Karen. Hillary, I'm sure that you guys have been chatting heaps since the weekend. It was awesome. It was really, really cool. I think we need to take into consideration the horse and understand their needs. So I was talking to some people, it was either today or over the weekend, I can't remember when I had the conversation, and I was saying that over the time that I've been, I don't like to use the word developing because it's obviously in existence, but recording or mapping my liberty philosophy or my liberty program or whatever it is that you want to call it, over the time that I've been observing tons and tons of horses do liberty, I'm starting to really understand that there is a process of horses getting confidence from liberty. So those horses that need a leader or need leadership, they will tend to seek to be in behind the owner. So literally they require a leader. They want someone in front walking around, and they're happy to hook on and follow, but they want to follow. They're not interested in being up beside as a partner horse. Then there's the next section of the journey. I don't like to say level because it's not about advancing. It's not about getting the horse to that level. There's horses that are wanting to be a partner horse that are happy to walk in beside you. I think it's really important to recognize these needs of the horse, because I've seen people require a horse to be up beside them that isn't ready, and the horse is worried and nervous in that position, and all the horse wants is to come in behind and have a leader. But then I've had partner horses that have been made or told to be in behind the owner, and they build resentment. So they are at a stage in their partnership with their owner where they're saying, you know, I think I'm ready to be in beside you. I'm ready to be a partner. And the owner's saying, oh, no, you need to be in behind me because this is what I've been taught, that you need to be behind me and you need to be submissive to me. So I think that there's a balance in that. I think that every horse will show you when he's ready and what he needs. So a horse that's in behind you may be saying to you, and without being there and reading it, you know, some mares will get in behind you and push you along. I'm well aware of that. And so without seeing it, I can't tell you exactly what's happening. But what I want to do is create an awareness in us that if the horse is in behind us, they may be seeking leadership. If the horse is coming out beside us, they may be seeking partnership. Okay. If the horse is walking in front of us, then that horse is potentially telling us that they think they're the leader and that we should follow. And that's obviously something that we want to address, because if we're going to take it up onto their back, then, you know, we need to make sure that the horse has respect for us and does see us as a leader, because otherwise when we get into situations on their back, then they're not going to look to us for guidance or leadership. They're going to try and take control. And the last thing I want when I'm on a horse's back is for him to take control. So I'm getting a comment here, Stephen. I know your stuff. I wish I had half your knowledge. Thanks, Steve. Thanks for joining. I appreciate your comments. So understand their needs and understand where you're at in your journey. You know, I've met owners that have been keeping their horses in kindergarten for a long time, and that can build resentment. And I've seen owners that are requiring their horses to be up beside them in a partnership position too early, and the horse isn't ready for it, and that can cause a lack of confidence and worry and anxiety on the horse's part. So I think liberty, to sort of sum it all up, I think that liberty is our opportunity to really read our horses and allow our horses to show us where they think they should be. And when they show us that, we can either say, okay, you need a leader, no problem. Okay, you need your partner material, no problem. Oh, you think you're the leader of me? This could be a worry for me, so maybe I need to convince you that I'm actually worthy of your respect. I'm worthy of being your partner, not of you overtaking me and taking control of the situation. So I hope that helps. I have to say, I'm sorry, I got a little bit off track there a couple of times because of the Wi-Fi wasn't working, and I was getting messages saying that people couldn't hear and things like that, so it kind of interrupted my thought process and all the rest of it. But I hope that those tips and ideas have helped in regards to you being successful with your horse at Liberty. And I think that if we always just simply keep in mind that there's two of you out in that pen, and that there's two beings there that are trying to have a communication or a conversation with each other, then I think that we can be really successful with our Liberty, and we can really take it to places that can take our entire relationship with our horse and our experiences with our horses to an entirely new level. I believe that Liberty is really a powerful tool, and like I say, I use it with every single horse that I come into contact with, that gets sent to me, or my own horses, and obviously I teach the clinics at Liberty. But I believe that Liberty is a huge component of a relationship with a horse, and from my performance horses to baby horses, I think every single horse loves a Liberty session, because ultimately we're talking their language. And we're giving them the opportunity to have a little bit of a conversation with us, and then it can reveal holes that may be in our relationship or in our training. I don't like using the word, but holes in our training. And I think it can reveal what our horse thinks, and I think it can improve things and cause our horse to see us as a leader to be respected, and that's going to improve our work on the ground and under saddle and in the competition arena and all that sort of thing. I mean, at the end of the day, I think all of us are trying to build a horse that trusts us. And I want to be able to trust my horse. I need to know that he's going to respond in ways that is confident and not fearful or not have anxiety, because that's when he could make silly decisions and do undesirable actions or get us into dangerous situations. So I think that if I can build trust with my horse, that that's going to reflect it's going to go into the saddle, it's going to go into traveling together, it's going to go into my groundwork, it's going to go into feeding, it's going to go into all aspects of my interaction with my horses. So I hope that helped. Steve saying thank you, and thanks for an inspiring weekend. You're so welcome. I had a great time. I hope that you all had a great time over the weekend, and I'm having a great time up here at Bangalore, where we're doing a balance and transitions clinic, and then I get to head home for the weekend and off to Warhope next weekend. So I look forward to seeing you all out and about at clinics. Please let me know how you're going with your horses. Send me messages and touch base with me, and I will endeavour to get back to you as often as I can. So I hope you all have a great week. Thank you for joining me for Monday Night Live at the new time of 8 o'clock for Daylight Savings for summer. I hope you're all having a great time with your horses. See you next time.